Hey everybody, it's Wendy. Welcome. Today we are going to make a beautiful watercolor card. It's pretty simple, but I just had to try it out. Let's see here. We have some fun supplies that we're going to be using, and I wanted to share all of them with you before we get started. Of course, I've got the Beautiful You stamp set with those pretty ladies. I'm using my watercolor pencils. I have my silver brush, which is just a paintbrush, some water in a glass. I have some basic black cardstock, Whisper white cardstock, and then I've got some watercolor paper that I'm going to use to do my watercoloring. First thing I'm going to do though is put the bottom part of this card together just real quick. I'm putting this little white piece on the inside of the card so that I have a place to write a note. You can see here I'm using fast fuse adhesive. My refills finally came in. I had ordered them and completely forgotten that I was almost out, so I actually had to go for a while without my fast fuse adhesive, and it almost drove me crazy. So I was happy to have that back. I have my Misty stamping tool here, and I'm using Stays On ink, and I'm going to stamp this little gal a couple times on my watercolor paper using Stays On. Whenever you're using watercolors, you want to use a pigment-based ink that will not run or smudge as you watercolor. The Misty stamping tool is not a tool that is sold by Stampin' Up, but it's a tool that I use quite often, especially when I'm mass producing cards. So the other great thing about it is when you're stamping on watercolor paper, you can re-stamp the image. Watercolor paper often has a tooth to it, or like a grit, and so sometimes it makes it hard for the ink to get real even when you're stamping. So being able to stamp something a couple of times in the exact same spot is brilliant and wonderful. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm just going to remove it out of the Misty, and I'm going to start my coloring and then eventually my painting. So just so I can kind of share with you my idea behind this, and then additionally why I'm doing this card. I imagine this woman, because one of the sentiments in this stamp set is wishing you brighter days to come. And so in my head, I was imagining this woman walking through some really hard stuff, or being in a place where she was having some struggles and it was raining. And on the other side of this rain was this beautiful sunshine. And so what I'm doing here is I'm creating it as if the umbrella is holding this rain off of her and she's walking into the sunshine. And so that's why you're going to see a bunch of yellow in this card also. And you'll see that further down. But to start, I've sped up the video because it takes forever to do this in real time. Actually, it's not that long, but still, I knew you wouldn't want to see it all. So what I did is I colored in Pacific Point and Bermuda Bay both, so that I would kind of have this greenish blue rain coming down. I'm also putting it underneath her because if it was raining this hard, there would be water on the ground. So I'm just going now over this with water. And you can see how nicely the pencils melt into the paper and the color moves around really, really nice on this watercolor paper. So I just get this entire thing covered really well. And then I'm going to start doing some coloring here. And this is where I'm going to add the yellow. And this is where I'm talking about, like, I'm trying to make it look as though she's walking into the sunshine. And obviously in real life this would never happen. This would never look this way, but it's not real life. It's my watercolor painting. So I can do whatever I want. So I added a little bit of orange up there under the umbrella just to give it a little bit of depth. And then I'm just coloring in all the yellow to make this little bright spot as if she's walking through this tunnel of rain. And I just love how this card turned out in the end. The reason I'm making this card is because I am part of a design team who designs 12 tutorials every month to provide completely free or with purchase. And in my case, I provide the tutorials completely free with a $50 order or more. So if you purchase $50 worth of product from me or more, you get these 12 free tutorials from me. I designed one of the 12, and Becky Roberts, Rachel Tessman, Kylie Bertucci, Janica DeJong. There's several people who are brilliant and amazing artists who have participated in this, who are current participants in this. You can see here I'm making her umbrella kind of a purpley, rainbowish color, and her dress is like a melon mambo, really bright and beautiful. So, yeah, so we all are in on this tutorial designing, and we just had our 12 new tutorials release as of yesterday. And so we're doing a blog hop. And so this is part of the blog hop. And that's why I'm making this card, because we try to use the same stamp set that we used for our tutorial. So this was the stamp set that I used in my tutorial this last month. And so now you're getting to see it used a different way. If you want those tutorials completely free from me, as I said, you can get them. You can get all 12 of them by purchasing in my online store $50 or more and using the host code, and you will be emailed the tutorials. Okay, so I'm stamping my sentiment here, and I'm stamping it a couple of times because, again, I'm on that watercolor cardstock, and it does make it a little bit difficult to get a really nice impression. But with the Misty, you can do that because you can just stamp as many times as you need to until it's nice and solid. So I'm going to remove it from my Misty stamping tool. And then I covered the back of it with fast fuse adhesive. I mean, I really covered it because there's a little bit of warping that happens with watercolor paper. And so in order to hold it down nice and tight on the card, I had to cover it that way. You may notice there's no orange in the yellow part here. That is because this was a different one. I had to have one dry before I could put a card together. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you check out our blog hop. Visit my website at loveandstampin.com. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the little circle that has my face in it, or watch some more of my videos by clicking on them. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.